Welcome to this Destination Staffordshire Fundamentals of Facebook webinar. This is part 3 of the fundamentals of Facebook, and we're going to really concentrate on getting the best out of Facebook in terms of content. So for those of you who have come across this webinar, there is a part 1 and part 2. In part 1, we discussed who your Facebook audience is and how do they use Facebook to really understand how your audience and the people you're interested in are using the platform. And we also then in part 2 talked about choosing the best type of page for your business and how to set it up. And this was very useful for businesses who are yet to use Facebook for business, but also for those businesses who may already have a business page but want to refresh and refine what they're doing. So in this part 3 of Fundamentals of Facebook, we are talking about how to create engaging content for your audience. And as with all social media platforms, providing or sharing content that is engaging is the key. Not just good content, but content that compels your audience to like, to share, to comment on and take part in your business. And that is where the power lies. So first of all, we're going to talk about engaging your audience. And we need to always start with your audience and defining what your customers' needs are. And in the sector of tourism and leisure, you might think that need is a bit of a strong word. They don't need a boiler fixing. They don't need a car service. So what do they need? This really takes us back to our practical marketing webinar, but it also takes us right back to the customer journey. And I repeat this again and again across all webinars. The customer journey is really important because you need to be there to hold the hands of your audience as they travel through this journey, from dreaming to planning to booking to experiencing and to sharing. And if you're able to use Facebook to help them through that journey, then you are in a win-win situation. So when we talk about customer need, then we're talking about what are they dreaming of? What do they want? What is the problem that they have, what is the problem that they have or they need to solve? You are selling the problem you solve, not the product you sell, always. So in the case of leisure sector, the tourism sector, maybe they simply need a budget day out to entertain all their children. Maybe they need to plan a birthday trip or event that's going to suit grandma, mum and dad and the kids. Maybe they need to, maybe they've been tasked with booking somebody's important birthday meal. Maybe they simply want to get away from it all for the weekend and relax and reduce stress. So understanding where your audience comes from, where they are in their life, what's important to them and what they're looking for on social media, and specifically Facebook, is really, really important. Why? We already talked about this quite a lot in part 1 of the fundamentals of Facebook, is why is your audience on Facebook? What are they already doing there? Are they sharing images? Are they being entertained? Are they bored? Are they suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out? Are they just idly scrolling because they can't think of anything better to do? Or are they actively looking for recommendations, reviews? And are they looking to find out where their friends go on holiday or where their friends go out for days out? Are they part of a Facebook group which discusses these things? So it's really important to understand where your audience needs lie in order that you can create the content that is going to be interesting and engaging to them. It's also really worth saying at this point that with Facebook, it isn't a quick win. You know, with lots of social media, it feels like all I need to do is set up a page or a profile and I need to post a bit of stuff and immediately I will have a new audience of people who are interested in what I do. And so often with small businesses, that isn't the case. And Facebook particularly can be a bit of a slow burn. It can be a place that you have to really work hard at in order to gain traction and to start gaining an engaged and happy audience. So consistency and persistency actually is the key on Facebook. So when you're thinking about creating engaging content, I want you to start thinking about the long term here. It's really important not to be thinking about a snazzy piece of content for today and not planning in what you're going to do tomorrow, because you will quickly be a flash in the pan. There's something about Facebook, because of the nature of the way people use it, which is to check in multiple times during the day. Evidence shows that it isn't like something like Pinterest, where people might spend half an hour consistently scrolling through and having a good time, but maybe do that once a day. People will check in for a few minutes at a time, multiple times a day. So it's really important that you are ever present with interesting and more engaging content, that content evolves as a result of the feedback you get, that you listen to your audience, that you hear what they want, that you provide the interesting information that they need. So being consistent and persistent on Facebook is super important. At this point, it's also really important to understand what the 80-20 rule is on Facebook. The 80-20 rule is 80% engagement and 20% selling. Facebook is not the place that people want to be actively sold to. You only have to ask your friends who are inundated with some of the very selly adverts that are in their newsfeed. People who are forcing, adverts that are kind of pushing them to buy now really are a turn-off and will not be successful on Facebook. For those of you who are on Facebook regularly, you might have started to notice a very subtle but significant change in the way that advertising comes across on Facebook, which is to make the adverts sound as if they are part of your conversation. So you will notice, for example, if you've been searching for a cottage to go on holiday on the internet, and then next time you go onto Facebook, you notice that you're suddenly getting quite a few cottage adverts. They probably won't be buy now, book today. It'll probably be more some gorgeous pictures that look a bit like a friend's photo album, maybe a set of pictures that looks a bit like a friend has posted it. And then underneath it will give you all those gorgeous experience words that you were looking at: cozy, romantic, relaxing, in nature, countryside. So they're becoming very sophisticated in the way that they provide content. And it's really important then for you to understand, as a business who's going to post content, that 80% is the golden bit, the bit that you need to create content that builds relationships, that helps your audience start to trust you more, that helps your audience get to know a little bit more about the business, what goes on behind the scenes, how you bake those cakes, what you do to create a beautiful bedroom, the flowers that you've picked to put in the bedroom, how you ushered all the animals in the farmyard through so that they are behind the gate for the people to visit, etc. And all that kind of background, engaging, interesting content is where people learn to love you and learn to love your business. And it's rather like, imagine going into a room where you had to meet lots of new people. You probably wouldn't go in and say, oh, I run this business, buy this now, buy this now. That would never be your first human approach. What you might do is you might tell them a little bit about your business, something interesting, and let them ponder on it, or let them ask another question, or let them find out a little bit more. And you would then give them the next bit of information that interested them most without telling them the boring bits. And that's very much how Facebook works. You need to listen, you need to understand what people are looking for, and you need to provide the content that is most engaging to them. If you show your audience the love and you show them the attention, then the sales will come. But if you choose or use Facebook as a place to sell, then unfortunately you will quickly turn off the conversation. So it's really important that about 80% of your time and your content needs to be conversation-led, engagement-led, relationship building, asking them questions, being part of their lives and helping them understand about yours. And only 20% needs to be content that might be a genuine last-minute cancellation, book today, or a genuine 20% off on May the 1st on Staffordshire Day, for example. Those are legitimate, but you have already had plenty of conversation, so it's legitimate to then say, but you can come, if you book today, you get 20% off. That kind of works. But do you imagine if you were talking and using that kind of content all the time, it would be a real turn-off. So use the 80-20 rule. Have a little look, if for those of you who've already got a Facebook page, and have a little check. Have you become a little bit silly? Are you a little bit expecting people to buy, and have forgotten to listen and to have a proper two-way conversation that's more engaging? The other thing that's really useful to think about when you're thinking about creating engaging content is, right from the beginning, use insights to time and refine. So insights are the analytics of Facebook, of your Facebook page, that Facebook again give you for free. So they are very generous in the amount of information that they provide that is useful to your business. And part of your, if you click onto your insights from the top of your page, you will be able to get a really good, clear idea of who is already engaging in your page. So you will understand their location, whether they're men or women. You will understand the ratio of ages. So for example, you might think that I am posting content for people who are semi-retired and looking to have impromptu weekends away during term time. You might think that's who you're talking to. But then if you go onto your insights, you might suddenly realize that actually we've got a huge chunk of 35 to 40-year-olds here, and we never post any content that interests them, because I didn't know that those sorts of people liked what we did. And those sorts of surprises can happen all the time. So are you looking at your insights regularly and checking out who your audience is? And are you providing the content that you think would be most interesting to them? It will also give you other information, for example, down to each post and how it performed. So if, for those of you who are already posting on Facebook and maybe you're not getting the kind of response or business that you might like out of that, have a little think and have a little look back at some of those posts and check out which ones were successful and which ones weren't. It will tell you what the engagement rate was and what the reach was. So the reach is how many times your post went into somebody's timeline. Doesn't necessarily mean they took any notice of it or saw it, but it was in their timeline. Facebook did show it. And engagement means how many times people liked it, commented, shared it, etc. If you notice that you had a particularly successful post, then take a note. What time of the week did you post that? What time of the day did you post that? Was it a video or an image? Was it an image of people? Lots of statistics show us that social media posts which contain pictures of people are much more popular than non-people. This is human nature. This is humans wanting to see other humans. So have a little look and have a dig deep into that post and see what it was, or see if you can work out what it was that was so successful, in order that you can try and replicate that in a future time. Also refine those posts that were less popular. So we've all been in that situation where we've crafted a beautiful post with a great picture and a really funny comment underneath, and we've involved a couple of hashtags, only to find that we posted it on Facebook and it dropped dead as a doornail and we couldn't understand why. It may well be that it was simply a bad day. It could be that you posted that just at the time that a princess had a baby, or there was big news on the telly and nobody was on Facebook, or everybody was looking at something else. So you could be unlucky, but probably more likely it's a question of simply refining what you did. So, for example, If you know that your main audience on Facebook are primary age school children, families with primary age school children, and you post all your content at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's unlikely that your ideal customer is focusing in on Facebook at that point. They may well be picking the children up. If you are posting to an audience that love gardening, and they love garden days out, and you're hoping to attract them to your beautiful place and enjoy an afternoon cup of tea, then posting on a Saturday afternoon might not work for you because they are garden enthusiasts. So they may well be in the garden or at a garden centre. So these are the things that you can, if you're using insights right from the beginning, you can quickly ascertain to stop you wasting time and wasting energy on content that's maybe beautifully crafted, but just isn't posted at the right time or to the right people. So always think carefully and use those insights. And it's worth noting that using those insights on a desktop will give you more information than on your mobile phone. So this is worth having a cup of tea and opening up the laptop and having a good look. So let's think then about the types of content that you might want to use on Facebook. First of all, I want you to remember those connection points. You understand your audience, you understand what they need, you understand what's important to them. You have created a beautiful Facebook page. So now it's important that your content meets those little connection points. So, for example, if you are providing a holiday cottage which is cozy, romantic, ideal for two people with beautiful views over the countryside, then what are the types of connections that you're going to make with your audience that's going to make them love what you are posting? Are you going to put a video up of a beautiful roaring fire with a pair of feet in cozy socks rubbing together? Are you going to post a picture of two champagne glasses using words like cozy, romantic, beautiful, countryside? Are you going to make content that is going to create that moment of emotion, that moment of connection, which will compel your ideal audience to engage with that post, like it, laugh at it, smile about it, immediately share with their husband, we must go there, or share with their partner, I'd like to go there, hint, hint for your birthday. You have to create content that compels your audience to engage with that post. It's also really important to remember the emotions that we talked about as part of their customer journey at this point. So for those of you who've looked at the Practical Marketing webinar or have followed part 1 and part 2 of this particular Fundamentals of Facebook, you will remember that they have a significant dreaming phase and they have a significant planning phase as part of any leisure or tourism activity. During that phase, they are imagining the feelings they're going to have when they are doing what they're planning. So they're imagining that lovely slow wake up with a cup of tea in bed and a beautiful view out of the window, or they're imagining those hilarious photos and selfies they're going to take with the children on that activity day, or they're imagining their mum's face as they surprise them with afternoon tea. So they're imagining all those feelings and they're smiling away them to themselves. How are you able to create content that taps into that dreaming and planning phase? You are going to have to create content that is evocative of those things. So pictures of other people enjoying those activities, pictures of that view that they can look at. And rather than putting a picture of the view and saying, here's the view from our king size bedroom, what you might say is, imagine waking up to this view with the person you love best next to you. You can see the difference in the types of language and connection points that you are using as part of your content. So really, really think about that emotional connection so that and remember why they're using Facebook, so that they can laugh or learn or be amazed or be invested in enough to engage and enough to share, because that is the golden nugget on Facebook, is the engagement. Facebook is also remembering that it's about connecting with people in as real time as possible. So what did Mark Zuckerberg say? He wanted Facebook to connect everyone in the world, and he wants them to be connected now, connected today. He wants people to share what they're doing today. This is our beautiful place today. This is what we're doing today. This is what we did this morning. Here's the video of my sister's surprise at her party last night. This is all the content that we all know and love on Facebook. This is why we're compelled to go on it so often in a day. So are you providing content that is immediate or immediate enough? Again, we've mentioned that you can use Facebook on your mobile phone. It's very easy, once you understand who your audience is and what you're selling, to quickly take a 10-second video of something, a beautiful sunset at your place, somebody setting something up for your event, maybe leaflets being boxed up to be sent out somewhere, a little bit of a video of you talking, saying we're really excited because we've just announced X, Y, and Z. All that kind of real-time immediacy helps your audience feel connected to you. It helps the Facebook audience feel like they are part of your business, that they are in relationship with your business. They are investing in your business by looking at that piece of content. So posting content of, oh, this was the snow at our holiday cottage 2 weeks ago, really doesn't have that same wow factor as posting a photo of the snow falling right now. And I'm sure you're able to see the difference that I'm trying to express. So real time works best, and it's important to get out your mobile phone, take lots of video, take photos. You may never use them all, but just get into the habit of having that amount of content and understanding, I know my audience, I know what they want, and I know they would love this. I've already mentioned several times as well that video uploads are higher per day on Facebook than they are on YouTube. Video is king. People love to watch video on Facebook. Who doesn't love a cat falling off a telly? Who doesn't love a puppy falling over his own feet? This is what makes Facebook popular. So although I'm not suggesting you throw your cat off the telly, it could be interesting to start to experiment with different bits of video that really help people understand more about your business, or that is exciting or beautiful or entrancing or interesting or fun, whatever the bit of messaging that you want to get out there. Don't be afraid if it wobbles a bit. Don't be afraid if it's a bit windy. Don't be afraid if it's not super professional. What it is authentic and real time. We've already mentioned this, but making your content shareable really is key. You want engagement. You don't want to create beautiful content for nobody to like or share or comment on. So ensure that your content is compelling enough to share. This shareability is creating the advocates of your business of the future. So if you have shared content that instantly is shared by several people to their moms, their sisters, their brothers, their friends, then immediately they have become marketeers for your business without any effort or extra effort from yourself. So this is networking. This is social networking. This is what Facebook does for you. It has a huge audience, and if you're able to create content that is immediately shareable, then that is gold dust. It's also, as we've mentioned, Facebook's free services like Messenger is helpful to help people at the planning and booking stage. So if you have, for example, a tourism attraction that invites groups of friends, then imagine if you're able to share content that those groups of friends can immediately message to each other via Facebook with a couple of presses of their screen on their phone with their slippers on late at night. They can immediately plan. I've looked, this accommodation has got availability and we can do this activity on that day, and for £20 extra they'll throw in a picnic, and I've checked that that weekend's available, who's in, yes, and they can book all in the same evening because you have provided information and content that is instantly shareable. So that's really important. You also kind of need to stay in the conversation. So I'm not suggesting that you're entirely strapped to your phone 100% of the time, but it is important to make sure you're checking into your Facebook regularly. If you're posting content, people will ask questions, people will want to check things out, or they will want to make nice comments. It's so important to be part of that conversation and to reply, or to thank them for their kind words, or to answer their questions, or to dip into their conversation they're having with each other and just say, hey guys, I noticed you were talking about booking that green tea. We've actually just had a cancellation. If you'd be interested, we have a 3:30 slot. This is where you can get that extra business while showing your wider audience on Facebook just how helpful and brilliant you are. Now, I've mentioned about having a content strategy, having a content diary before. It's really important, and I've mentioned consistency and persistency on Facebook. If I would advocate using a diary so that you have the key times and the key moments in your business in a diary that you know you need to share on Facebook. I think it's really important to help you stay on track, to help you keep the variety of content out there, to help you remember not to get boring, and to help you stay on track as far as your branding is concerned. But I would also advocate the use of stories. So you imagine you have created a content diary with some of the highlights through the year. You know, that will be the launch of our spring event. This will be the launch of Mother's Day afternoon tea. This is when we're going to launch our special bank holiday weekend party. Whatever it is, make sure it's in there, in the diary, you won't forget. And people in your business can help you, and your Facebook page will always be coming up with new and interesting content. But in between that, so imagine that's the slices of bread in a sandwich. In between that, you want little filling bits that won't be on your Facebook page permanently, but the interesting live everyday bits that might really help people understand your business at a new layer. And these are stories. Stories are pieces of content that stay on your Facebook page for 24 hours only, and then they disappear. And stories really can add value to the type of content and conversation you're trying to have with your audience. It's really important that they get to know you and trust you, as we've already mentioned. So creating fun little stories with little GIFs over the top, little movable arrows, love hearts, or little bits of writing over the top can really add value to the content you've already got out there. So imagine, for example, that you are running a special family event one day. And on your Facebook page, you will have introduced this event in the weeks and months previously. You perhaps have sold tickets in an event on your Facebook page. You may have shared updated photographs as you introduce new features and benefits of the day. You may have announced when you had sold out of tickets or when you only had a few tickets left. And those all form part of your content. But you could use stories on the day of the event to help talk people through how that event has actually functioned. So you might have little stories of, you know, it's dawn, we're up, we're ready, the balloons are ready, we're just opening the gates. You might have another story, and you can have multiple stories throughout the 24-hour period. You might have a little video of the gates opening and the first guests running in. You might have a little video of the band starting to play, or somebody cutting the ribbon to open the event. And this provides the story of the event. Not only does this increase the excitement and the interest and the engagement in your event, but it also helps you set up for the next event that you want to put on, and helps build the need, the anticipation for what you're doing. So consider using stories as part of your broader content management on Facebook. So just to conclude, we've talked about how to use engaging content, or how to create engaging content for your audience on Facebook. You need to have varied content, video, images, slideshows. Facebook provides all those opportunities for you. You need to use the keywords and the phrases that you know really are the emotional connection points for your for your audience, the things that they are really interested in. You need to use insights to check out what is working and what isn't, refine and get better on your, create better content as time goes through, learn from your mistakes, build on your successes, and really focus on building relationships on Facebook. It's important to be consistent and persistent, to show great consistency in good quality content. Show the love to your audience and future customers, and focus on that 80% engagement, and the sales will follow. So I hope that that's been useful in part 3 of Fundamentals of Facebook. Just to let you know, there is an advanced Facebook webinar for those of you who are ready for that, and you can also find that on this portal. Thank you.